look at the customer statement and payments, as well as how to allocate payments against specific invoices. On this screen here, we can see a particular customer, Mr. Joe Bloggs, as well as his latest transactions, the invoices he's received, and his events. None of this has changed. You'll see two new buttons here, the statement and payment option. You can access them here, or you can also hover on the list action and see them here. The statement view provides an up-to-date statement of their current account. You can see the date of the invoice reference, the amount it was issued for, as well as their current balance outstanding. There's also this column here, showing if it has been allocated or not. At the minute, none of these invoices are currently allocated, as there are no payments against them. To create a payment against a customer, go to the Payments tab. Most e-commerce transactions have an invoice and a payment through the website, and therefore invoices and payments through credit cards, for example, are automatically reconciled and allocated against each other. This function, therefore, is mainly used for account customers, where you raise an invoice and then receive payment at a different time. This can be through check, offline payment, or for whatever reason you have to record the payment manually against their account. There are several ways you can make a payment for a customer. The first is using the New Payment button. In here you can choose the type, offline payment, offline refund, card payment, or journal entry, as well as the method. In this case, we will say backs and say on account. Let's add £120 as an offline payment. On the left, you can see payments and invoices on the right-hand side that you can attach them to. This payment has automatically found that this invoice is a potential invoice that it can be allocated against. And you can tick the invoice that you want to choose and say allocate against this particular invoice. Given that invoice is fully allocated, it now disappears from the list. These invoices still need to be paid off, and so they're still missing payments. Right now on the customer statement, their balance is now back to -600, and this one and this bottom invoice here have been allocated. They are now resolved. If you want to unallocate a payment, you need to click Show Fully Allocated, find the payment that you just had, and unallocate, and then delete the payment in question. Now let's make a payment for a slightly different amount. Let's suppose that they make a deposit. Let's say on account, deposit, and they've paid £10. This £10 is not enough to pay any of the invoices on the right, so the allocate button is currently grayed out. You're £110 short. So what you do is you change the payoff number to £10, and then now the balance to allocate is 0, and you say allocate. This invoice still needs to be paid off, but the unpaid amount is £110. We can make another payment on account remainder for £110 and allocate this against the remaining £110. If we say show fully allocated, now we see the two payments that we had on the left-hand side, and we can unallocate and also delete these payments if we need. These payments can now be deleted because they are no longer allocated against an invoice. It's also possible to overpay an invoice. Perhaps they put some account credit. Let's give this particular customer £1,000 of credit. This payment is well in excess of able to pay all of the invoices on the right, so automatically all three invoices have been selected. The system has calculated that the total amount here, 720, is less than the total payment amount, and so they have been selected up until the amount that is being able to be allocated. In fact, even if we allocate this now, there are no invoices left to be paid, but there is £280 remaining on their account, and this will be reflected in the customer statement. Let's unallocate some of these invoices. Perhaps there is another payment involved, where they pay one particular invoice, let's say a £120 invoice, and we want to specifically choose that one this £120 invoice against this invoice, but we've already allocated this one against our £1,000. All we have to do is unallocate this one, move to our payment for 120, allocate this invoice and this payment against that payment, allocate, and now allocate the remaining two invoices against our £1,000 payment. This leaves £400 remaining on their account, and we've correctly allocated this payment to this invoice.